Hey everybody, I'm Tony Amato from Salmon Trout Steelheader and Great Lakes Angler magazines. And today I am going to start a project. I'm going to build a couple rods from blanks. There'll actually be some two-piece rods, so there'll be two blanks. But I just went down, I bought this, just a piece of trim board from the local hardware store. And I'm going to turn this into my machine for wrapping the guides. This is a one-piece rod. It's a Lamiglas walleye rod, the hammer. But the first thing that I'll have to do is decide the height that I want to cut the pieces off that this will ride inside of. It'll be a V-notched piece. And then actually I haven't even got my blanks yet, but I'll get my blanks. I'll get this all built, and I'll kind of go step by step so you guys can see how I did this. I had a couple rods a few years back that the guides were broken. The porcelain was cracked, and the handles are starting to get some age on them. And honestly, if you have some rods that just need maybe some new guides or handle or everything, you can literally just strip everything off an old rod. Maybe it's your favorite rod and it just needs to have some updating done. That's another thing you can do, is you don't need to get the new blank. You can just strip an old rod down and just rebuild the whole thing with new guides, a new handle. And it's really not that hard. And it's actually fun. I'm a hands-on guy. I like working on my own things, doing my own projects. And this is the exact type of thing that, hands-on skills. But it's not that hard. Anybody can do it. So let's get started. Right here, I've got my trim board that I bought that I'm going to be cutting up to build the platform. And then I've got a pin, straight edge, a tape measure. These are just construction screws. I've got two different sizes of drill bits so that I can countersink. Actually pre-drill a smooth hole, and then this will be the part that'll be where the threads go. You don't want this too tight in this type of board. This is just a press board. So obviously the drill, I'm going to use the jigsaw to cut the pieces, and tape measure and this to make the measurements. So let me do that, and I'll cut this and then show you guys how I'm going to put this together. You take your 1x4, and I came in an inch from each side and made a mark. This is to make the V notch at the top of these cradles. And then from the top, I came down 1.5 inches and just made a small dot. Now that's probably not centered, so I have to measure across. The 1x4s are actually 3.5 inches wide. So 1 3/4 is dead center. So you just get your dead center, make a mark, and then just connect the dots. Make your two marks for the V notch, and then that's ready. And then after that, getting a little bit ahead, but we need to have a 3-inch clearance. So from the bottom of the V notch right there down to 3 inches, I'm going to hold my pin mark right there, 3. And so from the top, that's, I believe, 4.5 inches. So now I'll put a little dot at 4.5 inches on each side. And then take my ruler, and then we'll just draw a straight line right across. And so this is going to be your main pattern that you're going to be using. So you'll be cutting this out, and so here it is. Now we're going to use the jigsaw. Make sure you wear safety goggles and be safe with your saw. And I actually set the camera on the table, so it vibrated a little bit. Sorry about that, but you can see what's going on. So this is your main pattern. Once you get this cut out, you're going to want to keep reusing it. Make sure, follow the lines as best you can. And we're not building, a car engine. We don't have to have exact measurements. So So here's your main pattern, and we're going to mark it and then cut 3 more pieces out. And like I said, make sure and keep using that same piece that's on top. Otherwise, by the time you get to the 4th piece, everything's going to start to deviate and you might not have a good match for lining everything up. So there you go. I obviously don't need to keep showing you a whole bunch of this, but yeah, I just cut the next one, and then there you go. Now we got our 4 pieces, and we have to decide how to space them out. I've got the V notches cut, and so I've decided to make the board 4 feet long. I think it's kind of a standard size for tables. You got your 4x8 sheets of plywood, right? So the next thing is, so this is going to be the full width of what I'm building right here. Obviously, I have to cut this excess off. I'll do that in a sec. But then I had to decide, well, if this is all even, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4 feet. And I thought, okay, I've looked at some of the other machines. You don't need this huge space. So I'm moving these in. So from 4 feet here and 1 feet here, or zero over here, I came in 15 inches on center. So from this side in 15, from this side in 15. And really it's just enough room to be able to, move your hands around, you don't want to be obstructed. And then most of the activity is going to be, right in this area right here. So then I was sitting here and I thought, well, this would be really neat. I have to attach the spools, and I just picked this up, the other day at the hobby shop. But, I need to mount this somewhere and then bring the thread up to do the wraps, right? So I thought, some of these guys, and not me so much, I probably won't get this in depth with it, but they use multiple colors: blues, red, pinks, greens, orange. And so I thought, well, if you wanted to build something like this, I had an idea that I'm going to drill a hole through the face of this board right here, a good sized hole. And then I'm going to mount my threads. I'm going to take some of this excess over here that I will be cutting off, and I'm going to build a platform. And literally, you could have 5 different colors rigged up. They'll all be able to share this same hole right here. And then you can put multiple loops. I'll be doing all this, but I just wanted to explain it right now so you know why I'm putting this here and that there. So with that said, I'm going to go cut this board, and then I'm going to show you guys how to attach this to the main board. Starting at one end, I take one of the V-notch cradles, square it up at the end, make a straight edge mark, and then from there, you can put 3 dots along or centered in that area where the cradle is going to be attached. Now, granted, my dots aren't exact. You just want to get them centered. And if they were off a little bit, I may have readjusted with the drill. You might see that. But so this drill bit is just big enough to get the construction screw through without grabbing. It'll slide straight through. And you'll see why that's important here in a sec. And then from there, I'm going to flip it over because I think that's actually the top side of the board that's showing right now. And I'm going to do some countersinking so the heads of the construction screws will be countersunk. And this is nice because, you don't want to put this on a table somewhere, maybe in your kitchen or someplace, and scratch the tabletop up. So now when the construction screws are inserted, they will sink in beyond the surface of the wood. And you want to use a bit for that that's bigger than the head. So now I'm going back to so this is a pilot drill. I'm going to hold the V-notch, the cradle, nice and squared up to the end, and then just start a hole. I'm not going to go all the way. I'm just going to start it, and then you can take it and then drill the rest of the way in. Just freehand it, and you want to be careful. The drill bit size that was small enough to just fit the threads through, definitely could break if you push too hard or you're twisting it at the wrong angle. And so now all you have to do is put that underneath, and you're going to use your construction screw and just start it in that little hole. And that'll make it really nice. I'm actually changing the bit right now because I'm using the same drill, but it's going to pull that up nice and tight. So I'll just put the construction screw in, and then take my cradle, and we're going to screw it right up to the top and square it off. And that's going to make it much easier to finish the other two screws. And it's going to hold it in place so that nothing is out of whack or, misplaced. So from there, you switch to the pilot screw, the pilot drill, which is the smallest drill. And you're going to finish screwing the holes for the threads to go down into. And you gotta, don't go too fast. I might have forced it a little bit, but it almost felt like the wood chips were getting stuck in the hole. So I went down and then pulled out once just to get those loose pieces of wood chips out. And then you just blow it off, and then put your construction screws in those holes, and then just tighten everything up. And you don't have to go, super tight with the screws. Just get them down and snug them up a little bit. These are strong screws. It takes a lot to break them, but just snug them up a little bit. And there you go. That's one end all finished up. And essentially, you can just, flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side, and then you'll have the two ends finished. And on the center ones, you just go 15 inches on center, put your marks, and then do your dots, and there you go. The exact same process. Well, here it is. This is pretty much the finished product. I mounted these 4 pieces. I guess you could kind of call them cradles. I drilled the hole out right here to let the thread come through. I know you can't see it from there, but the spool is mounted here, and I've got 2 spools that can be mounted at the moment. And literally, you can just start turning. And like I said, I don't know the terminology. I don't know all the correct things. And honestly, I've not done a lot of this. Like I said, I rewrapped a couple of my old rods, but there's a little tool that you can push this down with and slide it back. I can adjust tension either with the spring. I can actually just take my hand right here and I can spin it, but I can also hold it just with my hand on this side. Obviously, I'm wrapping this way too much, and this rod is a finished rod. It's just for example. But then, we can push it back. Like I said, I don't know what the name of the tool is. I call it my finger. But there is a little tool that you can push it back with. Over here, this setup is essentially a bolt that goes through the back of this piece that I cut and added on. I just put a screw on each side and put it right in the front, and I got it low profile so it won't hit right here. And then you just slide your spool on. You put, I didn't add a washer right here because this board is so smooth it doesn't really need it. But if you've got a rough board, you might want to put a washer on the backside. Then put a washer here. I made this spring. It was a tight spring. I pulled it apart, and then I bent the ends over a little bit so they wouldn't catch the metal. So then you put the spring on. So you got washer, spring, another washer, and then you just put this wing nut on right here and bring it down just like that. And then you've got tension on the thread. So, and you can tighten this up to get more tension. You can loosen it. Really, you don't need a ton of tension when you're wrapping. I mean, you need enough to snug it down. But yeah, there you go. Look at that. Wow. This was about a half-day project. Granted, I've got to do the video editing and put this all together. But there's one thing that I need to show you, and I began the project with the press board. And even with the pilot holes here, it started to split. So don't use press board. Go with, this is a 1x4 primed trim board. I don't know if it's pine or hemlock, but it's solid wood. Works great. I was debating on going with just a natural finish, but then I thought, it's really easy to see your thread and what you're doing, with this white background. Granted, I didn't paint it. You could paint it if you want to. This is just still primer. Another thing is that I realized, and I'm not quite finished with this part of it. I put in one of these screw-in hoops or hooks. They're just round, and I, realized that there might be a point where, I might be wrapping and maybe a guide like right here gets stuck in this section over here. So if I put a hoop here and one here, I can adjust, because you always kind of want to be wrapping just outside of where you're tightening up against. So I will add these in later, because I'm really not sure exactly where I want to put them. If I want to put them way out, or you could put as many as you want, really. There's no limit to that, and you could take them out and move them. And another thing that I want to bring up is the fact that I'm going to be using some Lamiglas blanks, and if you go to the Lamiglas website, they have tons of blanks. I mean, anywhere from bluegill fishing to, fishing from the surf with a surf rod. You can go to their website and choose any of the, I don't know if it's hundreds, but a lot of different blanks. And they've been in business for over 70 years. Great company, really good people. And we've also been doing subscription offers with them going back. They've been advertising since the 70s, but we've been doing special subscription offers since the 80s, mid 80s, maybe before that. But we have that happening right now. If you go to the Salmon Trout Steelheader website or the Great Lakes Angler website, we have some special deals with, actually right now, I think we've got the hammer available with a subscription, and a float rod and a trolling rod. So that's something else that you might want to check out. I think that's it. I know I'm leaving some stuff out. It'd be great, if people want to leave some comments. It just came to me that, the finger thing is called a burnisher. So at least we can leave that comment out or whatever. But hey, maybe there's some more ideas people have. This is a work in progress. And once again, I'm not like a seasoned professional with this. I've stripped a couple rods down I didn't do the handles, but I took all the guides off, rewrapped, two rods. So I've had some practice with this stuff, and I'm a total gearhead. So, hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the magazine at Salmon Trout Steelheader and Great Lakes Angler magazine as well. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And hopefully I will have the next part 2 of this out in the next 2 or 3 weeks, where I'm going to actually build 2 rods from the butt, end cap, all the way up to the tip. Guides, everything. So I'll see you next time.